Hi and welcome to the latest video record new feature video for essentially version 6 of MethodGrid, which introduces configurable access control. So my name's Dom, I'm joined by my colleague Tom, who heads up our UX design, fresh back from a holiday with his mum, safari holiday.
Hi everyone.
Now what we're going to talk about is the core of this new release, the ability to configure access control across the MethodGrid platform, and some related new features, particularly groups and using groups as a construct to facilitate access control configuration. The idea of external members and how their access is limited. And finally, coincident with this new release, private member folders. So let's talk about a sort of typical situation. Professional service firm user, for example, wants to limit the access to a particular kind of area within its platform. And let's just say, for example, we've got a new project kicking off, Tom. You're going to be the project manager.
Okay.
We don't want the entire firm distracted by this, but you and the team clearly need to be, have access to the area. And also we're going to bring in some external weighing clients as well. But of course, we don't want them to see all of the content across the business.
Understood.
So Tom, new project, I don't know what you want to call it.
Well, being inspired by my safari, I think we'll go with Project Leopard.
Project Leopard, like it. So Tom, first off, if you can just create a new folder for the project we've just
to
start.
I'm going to put it in my client engagements folder. I'm just going to click the plus up here.
The ability to add folders, of course, is nothing new. This is something you've been able to do for a while now with MethodGrid. But what we're going to talk about is how you can configure access control essentially at the folder level as well as the grid level. So completely, force some ability across the platform. So Tom's created a new folder, and what you'll notice now on the top right action button panel there is the new action button for access control, the padlock. And so Tom's opened that up. It's exactly the same for grids. We're doing this at the folder level. It's exactly, it's identical for grid configuration. And you'll see, well, first off, you'll see all the architects in the system listed. So by default, architects as super users have complete rights across the entire platform. That doesn't change. So that is just reminding us of the fact that those individuals there have fulsome access. But now the ability to configure it is possible at either the group level or the individual member level. So if Tom opens up the group level, actually what you'll see here is there are some system-generated groups that are configured automatically by the base member roles or this idea of internal and external. But there's no other additional groups. They're just the system sort of defaults. So, Tom, what we're going to do is create a group for the project. It doesn't exist at the moment. So, first off, if you can talk about adding a new group.
Sure. So, if you go to members in the main navigation, you'll now see that there's a manage members and a manage groups link. So, go to manage groups. This would be your master groups page. As you can currently see, there's no groups other than the system set ones. So I'm going to create a new group. I'm going to call it Project Leopard Team. Automatically saves the title, and I'm going to start adding some members. So I'm going to add Carly and Harry and Neil, and then if I go back to the main group page, you'll see that the group's been saved. It's got 3 members in it. I want to point out as well, automatically you have the architects of the domain in every group as well.
Again, and Tom's an architect, so he didn't need to add it himself, but he's created his project team. So now, Tom, if we go back to the folder you created, Project Leopard.
Here we go, Project Leopard folder.
And at the folder level again, clicking on the ACL action button, the padlock. So Tom's going to now add the Project Leopard team. And just to note here, by default, whenever somebody's a group or a member is added, the default access permission they're given is the lowest, which is view access. But Tom, if you can show the panel there. So that access permission can be toggled to edit or indeed to manage, or indeed you can remove a group or member you've added. But at the folder level, if a group or member is given edit permissions, they've got the ability then to add grids, add content to grids. View rights is clearly just to view and use and see the content. And the manage permission is to do what we're effectively doing now, which is to administer access control. So Tom's added that group. It's going to leave it at view access. But also now we're going to add some individual members. So maybe you could add some workstream leads that you want to give edit rights to.
Yeah, sure. I think I'm going to add
ability to manipulate content.
Rishi, and I'm going to add Rosie.
So again, now members added, and Tom can toggle them up from view to edit.
Edit. Make them both edit.
And then finally, let's talk about adding some external clients to this folder. Now, of course, in this instance, we want clients to view the content and possibly even edit it, but we don't want them to see anything out with this particular folder area. But before we add them, actually, let's just maybe talk to the to how to add externals into the platform.
Sure. So again, go to the Manage Members section, and to invite a new external member, you would click the plus up here, add their name, email, select external. This is the new feature here, internal, external. So we're going to select external, and you can see that their base level becomes user, and they can't come in as a builder.
Knocks it down to the user level. And just to say, the restrictions for externals across the platform, they can only, they can never sort of administer access rights like we are doing now as internal members. And they'll only ever see members in the platform that they have a relationship with, i.e. they share a folder with, they share a grid with. So if we bring in some externals to this Project Leopard folder, they will be able to see colleagues on Project Leopard, but not the whole organisational membership. So Tom's going to add now those two externals.
Add Ria,
previously added to the
and Emma.
Previously added to the system.
I'm trying to show you, when you click the access control for them, you only have view or edit, so there is no manage.
Great, but we're going to leave them at view for the moment. So we've created a folder now, and we've configured access along the lines you can see there. So what we'll do now, Tom, is this is a standard, one of our standard PPM engagements. So maybe you want to clone in an instance of our master PPM methodology, and we'll show you how that's working. So the ability to clone master grids or create instances of grids is nothing new. We've blogged about that in the past, but now we're going to show how it works in relation to the new access control feature. So Tom's created a clone, and then you might just want to then clearly name it as a specific grid. You can, of course, now configure this grid. It's a completely separate instance. And a cloned grid always gets dropped into the folder on which its kind of master parent grid lives. So Tom's now going to drag and move that newly created grid into the specific folder. There you can see it's landed, but now if we open it up, a couple of things to note. Firstly, again, grids like folders can be completely bespoke configured for their access. And if Tom opens up this pane, what you'll see is that it has inherited the permissions that were set at the folder level. And that by default will always occur. Any newly created content inherits the permissions of the folder in which it sits, but you can now go on to configure the grid to have its own specific kind of configuration, access configuration as well if you wanted to. Again, remove groups or members, add groups and members to it, but we're just going to leave it as per the folder level. So now that grid is locked down to those external clients. They cannot see anything else across the platform. We've got a couple of workstream leads who can edit, and the rest of the team can view, completely bespoke. So hopefully you get the gist there of access control. Before we kind of close off this video though, just to talk about another new feature that came out in version 6, which is the idea of everybody having their own private individual folder. Again, regardless of the base role, users, builders and architects, and also external members, completely a separate private area. So Tom's now just creating a simple new grid in his own private area. Tom, if you maybe jump off to mine. Well, actually, just to say, of course, being a private area, Tom can't jump off to mine, other than the fact that we're both architects in the system. So Tom, maybe just talk through.
So if I go back to the manage page, the manage members page, as I'm an architect, I can see all members on my platform. I can see all their private folders. So if someone's created a good grid in their private folder and we want to share it with the rest of the company, then with their permission we can then move it around, etc. So if I just click on Dom's folder here, this icon here, you can see that I'm I've got Dom's project folder here now, and I can see any grids that are in there.
Okay, to emphasise that is an architect permission, and so super users, architects can see everybody's private grids. Otherwise, they're locked down to the individual. But you can create a grid in there and actually move it into the organisational kind of grid library. But it's really an opportunity for everybody to sort of get to use the platform. So hopefully that helps. That's version 6, primarily dealing with configurable access control at the grid and the folder level across your entire platform, and using groups as an organising construct and introducing external members. We've got the FAQ as always, with some more support to that. Hope you find that useful. Thanks for watching.